is on his way.
How you doing? Mike, Vic Schaefer. Thank you for having us. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, the Mississippi State locker room is now open. We'll have an opening comment from Coach Schaefer, and we'll take questions. Once again, we do have two wireless mic holders, and Jared and Rachel on the side. So if you have a question, raise your hand, and we should be able to get to everybody. So, Coach, welcome to Connecticut, and if you can make an opening statement, please.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. We're excited to be here. Really proud of my basketball team. You know, we're very, very young, and yet they've accomplished a great deal, especially in the last 2 years. And this year's been a real challenge at times, but we've got some real competitive kids. Competitive spirit is something that's always stood out with them, and they're tough. And I'm really proud of our accomplishments. I don't know that if you'd have told me in October when we started that we'd be here at 28-7, finished tied for second in the SEC, I would have taken it probably and ran and said, see you in March. So really, really proud of our accomplishments, and again, excited to be here.
I think we could get a microphone to Rich Elliott.
Rich Elliott from The Day. Vic, I was wondering if you followed Mariah Jefferson through high school. And
Sure did.
Your thoughts on that, and also your thoughts on how she's turned out at UConn.
Well, I think she's turned out pretty good. She's one heck of a player. You know, I obviously at that particular time I was in Texas coaching at A&M, and we recruited her hard. You know, it's funny. When we came up here and played in 12, if I remember right, we won the national championship in 11. We played up here in 12. I walked out to go onto the floor for our pregame, 30 minutes before, and I looked down there, and who's down there on the other bench on their visit, on an unofficial visit, was Mariah Jefferson. So, she was a great player in high school. Obviously, recruited her on her AAU team out of Dallas, and she's obviously had a tremendous career and is one heck of a basketball player. You know, she's smart, intelligent, just getting outside of what she possesses from a physical standpoint, how quick and fast she is. You know, Morgan Williams, my point guard, is really fast. She's the fastest kid I've ever coached. And I'm sure Mariah might be the fastest kid he's ever coached, because I can tell you on film, and I'm fixing to get a dose of it in reality tomorrow, but on film she looks like every bit as fast as Morgan, if not faster. So special kid, no doubt about it.
Marvin Chambers, Houston Sun and Women Hoop World coach. After losing the SEC championship and watching the game tape, what are some of the things that you incorporated the next two games that you instituted to help you guys playing on another level?
Well, I think, when you look back at that the championship game, I thought South Carolina really came out and was physical and aggressive. And for whatever reason, we were that way with them the first time we played them. Got beat at our place 59-50 or 57-51, but it was a 2-point game with 53 seconds left. In that ballgame, in the championship game, for whatever reason, whether we were just running out of juice, we'd played back-to-back. We'd had a knockdown drag-out the night before with Tennessee, a real physical game, and we were really physical. For whatever reason, we didn't quite match their intensity physically, and we seemed like we were half a step slow most of the night. So for me, I thought, you know what, we've got some kids that need a little time, so we took a couple days off, got healed up, rested. We've had some kids walking around in boots for a while. They practice and they play, but they're in a boot, for the rest of the time. So we kind of rested up, healed up, and then we talked about that. And I think I've got a smart team in that regards, and they realized at that point that, you know what, we didn't quite match their intensity. And I think that's the biggest piece in that game. If you know, we turned the ball over a lot that night, and we turned it over out top. When you turn the ball over out top, you can't defend it. Those were layups the other way. By the way, this team we're fixing to play tomorrow, they are really good in transition. If you turn the ball over anywhere, much less out top, it's probably going to be a layup. So we learned that, I think, more than anything in that ball game, and just taking care of the basketball.
Yeah.
Good morning, Coach. Rich asked you about Mariah. Just in terms of Morgan, how she's gotten a little bit healthier toward the tail end of the season, and then what she's meant to the team, and then what the challenge is for her going up against such a great point guard.
Well, I think obviously she's seen enough film now. I've probably loaded her diet with a bunch. So she knows what she's dealing with tomorrow. You're dealing with an All-American. You're dealing with, you know, a really smart, heady kid. You know, physically, she's as good as any she'll ever see, you know, from a quickness, speed, strength standpoint. So I think Morgan understands what's coming down the pipe, and she's, you know, she'll be up for it. You know, she's competitive, as you know. The kid's played on a broken leg most of the year. So toughness isn't something that's a problem with Morgan Williams. She has gotten healthier as the year's gone on. She's still not, you know, way on all the way back, but she's more healthy today than she was probably 2 weeks ago. And that, as you know, Morgan's kind of the engine that makes the train run for us. And her and Jazz understand the importance of what they do and how they conduct our team. So it's very, very important tomorrow that those two are competitive and with Mariah.
Coach in the back, Rich Coppola, Fox Television. The first two games, Duquesne did a much better job with UConn's pressure than Robert Morris did, obviously. So are there things you learned from that, and how important is it for Victoria to be able to do what she's done really throughout the whole season?
Well, obviously, I'll go backwards, forward. Victoria's a big piece of what we do, especially offensively. You know, I complain about Victoria on defense, but she leads us in steals. And she got, you know, she had Powers down the stretch the other night against Michigan State and did a really good job with her. So, but Victoria obviously is an important piece. And again, I think our team plays with a lot of confidence when Victoria's playing well and scoring for us. So, tell me the first piece again. Just about Duquesne. Yeah. Just taking care of the ball. I mean, for us, it's been to me, we turn it over about 2 times too many a game. You know, if you can keep it under 14, statistics show that you win one more game a year if you average less than 14 turnovers. And we're right at the 15.4 mark, I think, something like that. Now, we live in a league that is really defensive-minded, got great defensive coaches. So, and I think so we led the league, I think, in fewest turnovers per game. And so we've got to take care of the ball tomorrow. There's no doubt about it. We've got to get a good shot every possession, and we've got to create a good shot every possession. Whatever that shot's going to be, they're not going to give it to you. One thing I don't think Connecticut gets enough credit for is their defense. They're all long, they're tall, they're athletic, they're pretty quick, and I don't think they get enough credit on the defensive end. We all know what a great offensive team they are, but defensively, man, they're pretty doggone good. And so I think our kids understand that, because I've preached that to them now for a while and shown them film about it. I mean, when you've got a team that's got somebody on that's had 404 block shots, think about the 500 she probably altered that she doesn't get credit for. So that's a pretty amazing stat. I just graduated a kid that had 300, I think, in 13, and I thought she was pretty doggone good at it. She got 404. And again, she's probably altered 500, 600 that she doesn't get any credit for. So I think they're really good defensively, and I think that's the piece that we've got to really a challenge in front of us as well.
Doug.
Hey, Coach. Doug Feinberg, the AP. Two-part question about experience, because you guys have this group has never been this far in the tournament, and they've never played UConn. You've coached against UConn. You've obviously been this far. Just how much does that play into the game plan as far as are they nervous? Are they excited being here, and also just having to play UConn, who obviously they've seen on TV but never experienced?
Well, unfortunately, we probably won't find out part of that till tomorrow when we tip it up. I mean, I've got a lot of confidence in my team. I really do. I've got some really competitive kids, and they're tough. They've been in some really tough venues and environments. So I do have a lot of confidence in my basketball team, and I've got great kids, and they're really competitive. No, we haven't played UConn before. I have. I remember bringing that team in here from the year after we won it. We came up here and played, and we thought we were coming here and be who we were, be who we are, especially defensively. And if I don't remember it correctly, it was a layup fest. It was bad, and so I think you've got to, for us, I think our kids understand. They've seen enough film. They have a really good idea how we're going to be attacked. One of the things we do defensively is we impose our will on people. I think that's one of the things that we do. I think the same can be said about Connecticut. They impose their will on you, both ends of the floor. And so I think for us, the challenge is to deal with that and try to minimize that as much as we can. I just don't, you never know how your team's going to respond in this environment, especially with a young, inexperienced group like I got. But I do know this, our kids are going to be prepared, they're going to be ready to go, and I really believe they're going to be excited and they're going to play well.
John Altavilla.
John Altavilla from the Hartford Courant. Coach Schaefer, where do you think you have the chance to experience the most success defensively against them?
Well, I don't know. We've been through a bunch of scenarios, in this past 5 days and talking about how to defend them in different ways with different philosophies. Like I just mentioned, the last time I came in here, it was, my way or the highway, and we got shown the highway. It was a layup drill. And so obviously that didn't work real good with that team. I think the thing that you get concerned about in this environment with this team is that, I'm talking about Connecticut, is that when you can work on things for 5 days and have all the confidence in the world, but what happens with teams is then they get in this ballgame and you have a couple turnovers, it's a layup. Next thing you know, they hit back-to-back threes. Now it's a 10-0 run within a minute, and all of a sudden now you're on your heels. And everything you thought was going to be, you worked on that worked good in practice against your guys, your men's practice team, now all of a sudden you might have had just a little stretch where it didn't work real good, and now doubt creeps in. So you got to try to stay away from that if you can. It's the runs that they go on that are just, to me, are very demoralizing, and they all start, to me, with transition. And so for us, we've got to somehow trying to find a way to eliminate turnovers and eliminate that transition. I think that's very important for us tomorrow.
John Nash.
Coach, John Nash from the Norwalk Hour. You've touched upon a couple times being a young team, and a lot of times when young teams face UConn, they're intimidated right away by what they see on the opposing chest, UConn. This is a program, though, that you guys beat Tennessee for the first time ever, not just once but twice this year.
Thank you.
Does that take away part of that intimidation factor, knowing that they could beat a program like Tennessee? Why not go beat a program like UConn?
Well, you hope so. You hope that the experiences that we've had in our conference do lend you to have confidence in this environment at this level, and that's what we have to draw on. We have to draw on our 16 rival games that we played in the SEC. That's how I look at it. Those are 16 rival games. I think I figured it out the other day. We've won 30 SEC games in the last 3 years, and it's pretty good. I'm pretty proud of that, and so it's hard to do, and I may be 27, but nonetheless we've had some success, and so it's hard in that environment. In those environments, we've been tested, and we've had some really difficult venues. So you hope you can draw from that.
Okay, we got time for 2 more questions, so we're going to go on each side here, starting here, and then with Jim.
Seth Berkman from the New York Times. Coach, you said earlier this week how you want to have the mindset of this is another game. This is game 36 on your schedule. Before tomorrow, or maybe has it happened already, where you do kind of talk to your team and bluntly tell them, ignore their record, this is a game we can win, this team is beatable?
Well, I don't, kids are pretty smart, so I don't think you can say it, but they're probably going to look at me with, crossed eyes and go, huh? I mean, I think everybody in the country and the world that has a heartbeat understands what you're dealing with. I mean, 71 games in a row. I mean, I think, you can say that, but I think the approach you have to take is, hey, again, we've been to the wars. We've played against some really good teams. We draw on those experiences. We go with our game plan. We know what we do. We've got to try to do what we do. We have to be who we are. We can't morph into some team that we're not in 5 days. I think you've got to be who you are, and I think our kids have confidence in who we are. And I think that's the biggest piece when you go in and you take on a Connecticut, a Tennessee, a South Carolina, is you've got to have confidence in who you are and in what we do. And I think our kids have a lot of confidence in that, and I think they have a lot of trust in that. And that's all you can ask for as a coach. That's the biggest piece, I think, a lot of times in coaching, is that your kids understand who you are and they trust that who we are is pretty good in what we do. We have a saying in our locker room, it's not what we do, but how we do it that separates us from the rest of the country. And so I think as long as we can live by that, I think we're going to be okay.
Last question for Coach from Jim.
Jim Fuller, New Haven Register. Coach, when you came in from A&M, how long did it take this group to buy into your defensive philosophy? Are they further along than you thought they might be at this point in time?
I don't think there's any question we're a lot further along than I thought we'd be at this particular juncture. 4 short years. Again, we've won 30 games in the SEC in the last 3 years. So to tie for second in our league this year in year 4, it's a tremendous accomplishment again for a very young basketball team. I think they have bought in early on. Even that very first team that we inherited, as bad as we were at 13 and 17, we beat number 11 Georgia, held them to 5 baskets in the second half with that group. That's hard to do with any group, with a good team. And we held number 11 Georgia to 5 baskets in that first year and beat them at home. And so, and we did it again that year against Arkansas in our league. So I think defensively, that was the piece that until you can get good players, until you can get players with skill sets, that's the piece that allows you to be competitive. And so I think that with that first team, they bought in. It got to them. Defense, in my opinion as a coach, that's the last thing you get because you have to have so much chemistry. And so once they got it, then that first recruiting class came in and they saw what was important to that team that we inherited. And so it just is built from there. My freshmen that I have right now, no, they don't completely get it, but they are. They're a lot better today than were in November. But I think that junior class really has helped bring it along. And now my sophomores, they're now 2 years in, and they get it as well. We have 2 kids that have taken over 50 charges. I'd ask anybody in the room, go find another team in the country that's got 2 kids that have taken 50 charges. 50, that's a lot. We got 2 of them. So I'm proud of our kids, and I'm proud of how hard they play, how tough they are, how competitive, and their competitive spirit. And so that's what gives me as a coach confidence going into tomorrow. Whoever we play, I know our kids are going to compete absolutely as hard as they can, and you let the chips fall where they may.
Okay, Coach, thanks for your time today. Good luck tomorrow.
All right. Praise the Lord and go
We
Dogs.
are,
Thank y'all.
Bringing on the Mississippi State student athletes. I want to introduce the Mississippi State women's basketball SID, Brock Turnipseed, who joins us this weekend here in Bridgeport.
Am I going or staying?
You're going, Coach.
Okay.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank y'all.
Okay, we have the Mississippi State student athletes. We're happy to welcome to Bridgeport Dominique Dillingham, Morgan William, and Victoria Vivians. We'll take questions straight ahead for the student athletes. Once again, name and affiliation, please.
John Altavilla from the Hartford Courant in Connecticut. Victoria, what gives this team the confidence to believe it can defend UConn?
Because we're a great defensive team. We practice every day. We never go out of practice without going over defense. Like, we do tons of defensive drill. We work hard. We get in and get out, like, constantly in drills. Like, we have so many drills to go through in practice. So I feel like if we do well in practice on the drill, we'll come out in the game and play defense good in the game.
Marvin Chambers, Houston Sun, and Women Hoops World. Morgan, you've seen UConn on tape. Everybody talks about how fast, athletic, how physical. In your game plan this week, what are some of the things that you immediately address as a team?
Well, we did talk about boxing out a lot, and we talked about slowing down tempo a little bit. Don't go in a rush because their position is important. And most important, we just got to defend. We got to help side. We got to take charge like we do. We just got to play Mississippi State basketball, and everything else take care of itself.
Rich?
Rich Capola, Fox TV in Hartford in the back. Morgan, spoke with a couple of Robert Morris players the day before they played UConn and then after, and they couldn't believe just the speed, the quickness, dealing with their pressure and their length and getting in passing lanes and stuff like that. Obviously, you're not in it alone, but how will you approach them and their speed and their ability to take away passing lanes and all that tomorrow?
Gotta fake a pass and make a pass. You gotta, if they jumping in passing lane, somebody else gotta be open. So you gotta stay on your feet so you won't travel or turn the ball over, but you gotta be smart with the ball, most importantly.
In the back?
Herbert Delancey, Black Sports the Magazine. Number one, congratulations to making it to the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
And number two, does playing a team like South Carolina, another top flight team in the country, help prepare you to come here and play a team like Connecticut?
Me? For everyone?
For any particular person?
Definitely, just because, they play really well defensively, too. They get in the passing lanes. They pressure the ball. So I think just playing in the SEC in general gets us ready for UConn because we play hard games every night. So I think South Carolina really helps us, though, too.
Somebody else want to go on that one? No? Roger?
Victoria, Coach said that Roger Cleveland from the Waterbury Republican American newspaper. Coach said your championship game against South Carolina, you guys weren't quite as physical as you had been. You look like you were a little tired. How important is it to play really physical against UConn to kind of take them out of their game? And is that kind of what you hope to do against most teams, just play them hard and physical?
Yeah, coming into the game because we're a grounded out team. Like, we're not going to give anything easy. So just coming in there and playing them tough is a real important factor of the game because you can't be soft with them because they're not a soft team. So you got to be physical, aggressive, and do great things to be able to beat them.
Victoria, you've been averaging 21.5 points per game through the NCAA tournament. Do you think that your production need to go up to be successful against UConn?
I feel like it should go up, but like if the team going to do their part, so everybody play a factor in the game, not my scoring, but defensive stuff from Dominique and Mo, and they score as well. So I feel like if everybody come out and do what they got to do, we'll be successful in the game.
Jim?
Jim Fuller, New Haven Register. Morgan, your coach was just up here talking you up a little bit about playing on a broken leg for the entire season. Can you run me through kind of what this season's been like physically and just how much better you're feeling right now?
It's definitely been a lot of adversity, but somehow I just been able to get through it. I'm happy to still be playing with my teammates, and it's gotten a lot better throughout the course. But, it's do or die now. I just want to keep playing, so pain or whatever, I just want to keep playing right now.
John Nash from the Norwalk Hour. Dominique, as the resident junior up there, I guess. One thing UConn always has to its advantage is the intimidation factor of having UConn on front of their jersey. And you guys beat Tennessee for the first time ever this season, and that must have been an intimidating factor for you guys every time you played Tennessee. By virtue of that victory, did that kind of lessen the intimidation factor of all the other teams you've played, not just in the SEC, but coming into a game like UConn?
I don't think we're intimidated of Tennessee, but I mean there is that all factor that they're like the gods of the SEC. They won a lot of games. They've had Pat Summitt as their coach, so I mean definitely there's always that respect there, and I think just there's a respect factor. And beating Tennessee, that kind of did it's kind of just got us over that hump. We've always played tough with the upper teams in the SEC, but just getting that first win over Tennessee was a really great moment for Mississippi State, and I think it kind of got us over the hump. It gave us confidence that we can play with anybody. So I think we have the confidence to play UConn.
Victoria, Coach Auriemma in the back here. Coach Auriemma said great scorers are going to get their points even against great defensive teams. You sort of answered this already, but how important is it for you to be able to score without having to take a lot of shots tomorrow? And when you look at someone like Breanna Stewart and her ability to block shots and alter shots, will this be the best defensive team you've gone against?
Best defensive team? I don't know. But I feel like the scoring, as long as we win the game, I don't care if I don't score at all. As long as we win the game. Scoring is not a factor as long as we win the game. So if we win the game without me scoring, I'm still happy for my teammates for scoring.
And you win the game without you scoring a lot?
If my teammates do what they have to do, they come out and, get defensive stops and transition, I guess. Yes, I feel like we can win without me scoring. We won without me scoring a lot of points before.
If anybody else? Okay. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll see everybody back for the Texas News Conference, which begins at 2:05.